ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ji ki fateh. Welcome to this segment of Code Gurbani's a-sabad-a-day. The recitation and the reflection today is Surat Mahalla Tija, composition of the third Nanak, Gur Amardas in the Rag Surat. We will take a different tack today. We will try to first consider the rahau, the pause. It is something that we should be doing as a matter of course, because the rahau is asking you to pause, to reflect, to contemplate on what is being said in the rahau, because that serves as the central idea of the sabad, the theme of the sabad, and the remaining verses are amplifications. So it seems to me that we should, where there is a rahau present, it's not present in all sabads, but where it is, that we should begin there. So that is what we will do. So the rahau reads, Man mere har jiyo sada samali, ant kaal tera beli hua, sada nibhai tere naal rahau. So it is addressing the mind. Man mere har jiyo sada samale. Samale is to gather, to collect. So what is being said is, sada samale, be mindful, gather remembrance of the self, its wisdom. In other words, internalize it. Internalize that wisdom, because antakale, in the final moments, it will be your guide and companion. It will see you through. Now, Antakal has evoked various responses. The common translation is the moment of death, although there are some interpretations that would say Antakal really means this binding moment today, this life, because it's your final opportunity to accomplish the purpose of life else. So my perspective is that it does not have to be binary. It does not have to be this or that. It doesn't have to be, no, it isn't final moments or this. I think we could look at Antakal from both perspectives, as being the final moment or being the moment of life. Either way. So the Guru is saying, be mindful. In other words, collect the wisdom, internalize that wisdom. What does internalizing that wisdom mean? It means that in this life, that is Antakal also, understand, discern that everything is fleeting. Everything passes. Only knowledge, wisdom is the eternal guiding principle. Everything else just comes and goes. So you can't hang on to those things. That is internalizing wisdom. And dying is the ultimate test of everything that we have understood in life. So if in life we have loved wisdom, the eternal, and not hung on to fleeting impressions, then when the moment comes, it will be a conscious crossing, not fear of falling into an endless abyss. That's the central message. So in life, We have to learn how to get rid of attachments. We have to learn remembrance of the imperishable. We have to learn gratitude. And those are the ideas that are being amplified in the other verses. So the first verse gives us insight into how wisdom is to be internalized. It reads, Gurmukh Bhagat Karah Prabh Pavai An Din Naam Vakhane Bhakta ki sar kare aap rakhe jo tere man paane Tu gun data sabad pachata gun kahe guni samane. So the last line, Tu gun data sabad pachata gun kahe guni samane, is the lesson how to internalize wisdom. You internalize wisdom through the cultivation of its virtues. Wisdom is expressed through virtues. You live a life that is virtuous. That is living with wisdom. And how do you do that? Gurmukh Bhagat Karah Prabh Pavai Andin Naam Vakhane. Devotion. You have to devote yourself day and night to Gurmukh, to what is coming out of the mouth of the Guru. In other words, the Guru's teachings, Guru wisdom. You have to devote yourself day and night, and then only then will you begin to develop an affinity with the essence within, with the qualities within. Bhakta ki sar kare aap rakhe jo tere man paane. Because you begin to learn how to live in accordance with how life appears. And the essence, the self, is Gunadata. It's the source of all virtue. And to know that, you recognize that, to discern that, you require Gur wisdom. Tu Gunadata sabdi bachata. Through the sabad will you recognize that wisdom. Gun kahe guni samanne. Articulate that virtue, meaning bring it out of yourself. Guni samanne. Become like that virtue. Become virtuous through Guru wisdom. So you see how man mere har jiyo sada samale has to happen through Gurmukh Bhagat Karah Prabh Pavai. Now, as we see often in Gurbani, the opposite case. This is the default state. This is where we are all stuck. Dusht chaukdi sada kood kamave na bujje vichare ninda dushti te kin phal paya har naakash nakhe bidare Prahlad jan sad har gun gave har jiyo le ubare. Prahlad jan is talking about the devotee Prahlad. This is mythology. Who sad har gun gave, who was virtuous, who had cultivated virtue, har jiyo le ubare, was saved in the end. The myth is, the legend is, that his father, Harnakash, had declared himself to be God, if you will, and expected everyone to worship him. His son Prahlad, of course, refused, and so he condemned him to death, except that Prahlad was saved by Narsingh, that half lion, half man who appeared and tore him apart with its nails. Nakhe bidare. Because the legend is that Harnakash had this boon from God that he could not be killed, whether during the day or night, inside, outside. covered all possible conditions, any weapon. So therefore, nails were used, the exception. So that's the story. But the point is, Prahlad, because he was virtuous, because he had cultivated Nam, the wisdom. So the fact is that Dushta Chaukadi, evil collection of people, Kood Kamave, they are attached to worldly possessions, power. Na bujja hai vichare, they do not contemplate the sabad. They don't do that. They're absorbed in slander. Ninda dushti te kinda palapave. What fruit can they bear? And they meet the fate of Harnakash. Continuing on that thought, the next verse, Aapas ko bahu pala kar jane, talking about the manmukh, think no end of themselves. Manmukh mat na kai, but in reality, they're worthless intellectually. They have no sense. Sadhu jan ki ninda vyape, they slander the Guru. Jasan janam gavai, they waste their human life. Ram naam kade chete nahi, they of course never engage in contemplation or absorption of Naam, the wisdom of the self. Antagaye pachatai. What are they left with? Sorrow and remorse. So they are deluded, thinking themselves wise, wasting their lives, slandering others. So when death comes, they are left with regret and remorse because they have lived a life of regret and remorse. So now, in the fourth and concluding verse, the Guru reverts to the Bhagats, the devotees. Safal janam bhagta ka kita. Safal janam bhagta ka kita. The devotee's life is fruitful. Gur seva aap, because now they are being guided by the self, the har. They are being guided by this, by hukam, if you will. Sabde rate sahje mate. Sabde rate. Now they are absorbed in the wisdom of the Guru. And sahje mate. They are now in a state of spontaneous ease. Guru wisdom has become second nature to them. Anandana har gun gaye. They live, they act out of har gun, out of wisdom, out of virtue. Nanak das kahe benati. So this is Nanak's plea. How laga tinke paaye. May I be given the opportunity to grasp the feet of these devotees, of these bhagats. This is humility at its utmost. This is how you have to negate your ego. Not being afraid of surrendering to those who have actually devoted themselves to Naam. Think about it. It's very hard. But that's what Guru Nanak is teaching us. Vaheguru Ji ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji ki Fateh.